Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brick and Mortar Visibility. And as always, today is going to be a fun episode because once you are found first on Google, which is my specialty, getting you found first on Google, being the only option in town, we want your client experience to be totally over the top amazing. And you got there by doing some SEO strategy and optimizing that Google business profile. You also have a really great service, but now people, because you are first, you need to wow them in the client experience. And this is where our guest comes in today. But before I introduce you to our amazing guest, you guys, it happened. I fell in love. I finally met the person that fills my heart. Like, gives me goosebumps, makes me excited, makes me ready to wake up. You guys, it's been so long since Ms. Melissa Rose has felt this way. It is so life-changing. It is so fun. Like, I wake up so excited. You guys, pickleball is my new love. I love it. I love it. I found it about 6 weeks ago, and I am obsessed with the rest of the world, with pickleball. It is so fun. I literally was walking this morning, y'all. As you know, I walk every morning at 6 a.m. I do the same route because less decisions to do. And I'm halfway through my route and my best friend says, "Hey, are you up?" I'm like, "Well, yes, I'm up. I'm walking." "Hey, one of our team members didn't show up for pickleball. You want to join us?" You guys, I don't run. I haven't run for like 7 years. I ran from one end of the development to the other, which is like, I want to say it's 10 miles, but it's probably maybe 3/4 of a mile. And I'm huffing. I am puffing and laughing at myself because I literally said to them as I'm pulling up, "I run for pickleball." And we had so much fun. Yesterday, I played with my 14-year-old son and his best friend. And then Sarah and I played. And Sarah and I are in our 40s. And we're playing with 14-year-old guys. And I just whispered to Sarah, I go, "Sarah, I can't believe they're playing with us. And they're having fun. And they're laughing. And we're almost kicking their ass. Like we won, but they won more. Okay, but we had so much fun and I slept so well. So there you go. That's what I'm loving right now. So much fun. And you guys, it's so good to just find something that gets you away from the reality of the day-to-day, because with business, it's always there, right? It's always there. So there you go. For those of you that haven't been here, welcome. On this podcast, we talk all about SEO. We talk about Google Business Profile. And I'm going to have you make sure you grab your PSA. Your PSA announcement is to grab your social post from the last week, make it evergreen, make it something that's maybe evergreen if you can, and bring it over to your Google Business Profile. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you got to grab my Google Business Profile workshop completely free. It's about 35 minutes long. I go through everything in the Google Business Profile and show you what to do. But here's the deal, y'all. You got to do it. And that's the thing. I am guilty of this. I am guilty of signing up for the courses or getting the trainings and all the things, but I'm like, oh, but now I got to do it. And that takes time. So if you need accountability, the VIP day is your thing to do. Get a VIP day with me on the books. We'll get it done and I will help go further with your SEO and we'll go onto your blog and talk about blog and strategy there. So just get it done because so many business owners do not take advantage of this amazing free tool. And I have become an expert in it because I have a brick and mortar business that is top rated in my area, and not just like my 5-mile radius, within the Twin Cities area. I am a top dance studio because of my Google Business Profile and my excellent SEO. All right, so we are going to dive into our guest. Did you know this? 91% of unhappy customers will not willingly do business with you again. Well, that seems logical, right? But resolve a complaint in the customer's favor and they will do business with you again 70% of the time. You guys, we need to make sure our reputation is backed up with amazing customer service. And you guys, that's where it's at. That's where us small business, brick and mortar, we are different than the big box stores. We know our clients. We call them by name. We make sure they are so satisfied and we work so hard on that. Our guest today is Samantha Irwin. After 13 years teaching middle school, which she absolutely loved, she jumped into business full-time. In 2006, with her husband, she bought a 21-room historic boutique hotel built in 1907. Doesn't that sound like so much fun? No furniture, no clientele. Actually, the last time it had guests in it was in the 1940s, and it was located in a town, population 600. She needed to figure out how to get this boutique hotel on the map and attract clientele that was 2 hours away. So, in order to do this, she grew her clientele quickly by prioritizing hiring and training a team to assist with that growth. And how did she do it? By transforming people into partners. So she's going to talk about that today on the podcast. And I just love this stuff because I'm super passionate about the client experience. There's nothing better than when I go into a shop and I feel like a celebrity. They treat me well. They call me by name if I've been in there before. And the service is top notch. And you guys, it sets you apart. So Samantha Irwin is going to be our guest here on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. I am so excited for y'all to learn from her. If you enjoy any aspect of the show, what she had to say, any takeaways you have, please screenshot the show, put it on your stories, tag both of us so we can shout you out. Or better yet, leave an honest rating and review on Apple iTunes. I would love to shout you out on the podcast on our next episode. All right, here we go with the amazing Samantha Irwin. Are you a brick and mortar business owner that has put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating a storefront that lights you up and serves your clients really well, only to be frustrated that you're the best kept secret in town? If you're not hearing your new clients say, "I found you on Google," then you are in the right place. Welcome. My name is Melissa Rose. I'm a mom, a brick and mortar business owner, and your straight shooting visibility coach. I've cracked the SEO code to becoming the top choice on Google in my industry. And now I'm sharing the secrets on this podcast. Get ready for stories, fail-proof strategies, and practical tips to elevate your brick and mortar presence to the top choice on Google. Let's get real because we're going to make your business the only option in town. Samantha Irwin, thank you so much for being on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. It's so great to have you.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So you are the owner of Kaizen Consulting. And before we just go into all the things about your specialty, your niche in business, what is the goal that you would like to have our listeners have at the end of this podcast?
I would say the biggest takeaway, it's hard to consolidate. Biggest takeaway is that I would like to have people not be afraid to train their staff with people skills. Don't be afraid of team training. Let's jump in, and even if it looks messy, because yes, task training is really important, but people skills training is really what moves your ROI needle in retention for customers and employees. So yeah, there.
All right. So that's your teaser, everybody. So that is what we're going to get out of today's podcast. And I'm kind of excited about it because I have a bunch of different hats, as many of you do. You have your brick and mortar. You might have a side hustle. You might just do a fun job on your slower season or, help out a friend or whatever. And you as a business owner know the importance of that relationship with your client, with your potential customer, with other business owners. We tend to do it a little bit more naturally, but once we get to a team and building a team, no matter what age that team, like I have a dance studio, mine is a little younger, and training them and getting them excited about the mission and the vision of the brick and mortar. So before we dive into the nitty gritty, so Samantha, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Okay, who I am, Samantha. What I do, I serve, so business owners, brick and mortar hospitality hire me to help curate their customer experience and train and equip their staff with skills, the people skills, to increase their impact and influence in the business, which grows business financially and retains quality customers that become your mouthpieces. They become your biggest fans, and they become valuable marketers for your business.
And where are you located?
I'm physically located in Oregon, but With virtual, we can go wherever. And
Yes.
speaking, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And just, I know your story, but can you give us the cliff notes of how you got to where you are in business and how you got
Sure.
here?
I'll try Cliff Notes. So I have my Master's of Arts in Education, and I taught middle school for 13 years and loved it. It was so fun. I taught first grade 1 year and ran for the hills. Those first grade teachers are angels. I loved middle school, where I learned so much about galvanizing, inspiring, and educating crazy people. Like those kids are super fun. And I pulled that through line into when I stopped teaching and I bought a 21 room brick 3-story hotel, boutique hotel. And that was in about 2006. It hadn't been open consistently since the 1940s. So there was not an existing clientele. It was located in a town population 600. Yes, 600, where 80% of my staff came from that town. And it had no furniture. The people had auctioned off the furniture. So I dove into restoration for about 11 months, got a team. It was a lot of fun. It's a beautiful building, and created a destination wedding event and boutique hotel. So had that for about 10 years. Some parent needs for my husband and I came up a bit sooner than we had anticipated. So I needed to sell the hotel and got asked straight away to do some consulting. And now I'm here. Here's where I am. Created some. So my passion is really creating those and teaching those customer service experiences, or teaching people how to give great customer service experiences. That's the products that I created and the training that I do. It's all about that. So yeah, that's my quick Clips Notes version.
Yes. All right. So when does that business owner decide they need you? Like, what are those red flags, trigger points that we go, okay, I need help?
Ah, there a couple of them. The people who work with me and work best are people who understand that they need to support their staff so that their staff can serve their customers very well. That business owner doesn't need to be in front of their staff. They're growing. They've maybe started out, they've got themselves and one or two, and as they're expanding, they're realizing, like, how do I make sure that when I'm not here, my customers or my guests are still are being served the way I want them to be served, with this specific quality of care. So that's oftentimes when people will come to me when it's private one-on-one consulting, or when they're using some of the tools. And then speaking, people come when they want to do a little mind shift about how important those frontline staff are. That they are so important.
Yeah. So what is that mindset change that leaders need to implement?
Um, well, typically, and this is typically, if you're thinking about frontline service position, whether it's hospitality, retail, so if it's like your front desk or your barista or your housekeeping position, or your greeter, your server, oftentimes customers don't see those as the most desirable of positions, right? They're like, whatever, I want to talk to the owner. Oftentimes, again, then the people who are working in those positions don't necessarily view them as that important. They're like, oh, it's seasonal, it's a stepping stone. And that's true. That is true. But the view of that they're not that important. And then oftentimes, sometimes, which is sad, the leaders may also have that same point of view. And it's got to be, if leaders and business owners want independence and freedom and still maintaining the quality of the customer service that they expect that their customers and guests get, then we have to change that mindset, because those people in those frontline positions have an incredible amount of power and influence for the financial success or mediocrity of the business, and on the trajectory of the customer's day, which is close to my heart. They have an incredible amount of influence. And I just did a staff training. Typically, I'll do trainings for owners, but I partnered with our local chamber and visitors association, and I thought, after a governor's conference on tourism, and I thought, yeah, let's do an in-person staff training. And I took the first two modules of the course that I created and
Mm-hmm.
consolidated it. And basically we said, owners, you're not coming. You're sending your staff, your frontline staff, and I'm going to feed into them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so much fun. Melissa. The feedback I got from an owner like 2 months later was, we tell the person and we tell her how important she is, and we see how gifted she is at what she does and how she's very intuitive and she's got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of emotional intelligence skills.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell her all this time, but they said after the training, right, it's somebody else telling her and leading her
Mm-hmm.
through it in a different way. After the training, it was like a light bulb switched on, and they were telling me things that gave me goosebumps and made my eyes get all full of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
To see that transformation. So feeding into those people, it it pays so much in financial, you know, profitability and also peace of mind, so you can step back confidently. So I don't even remember your first
So
question.
can you lean into that a little bit more? So what was the business owner saying to the person that wasn't connecting or resonating in a way? Because I often tell my staff as well. I say, you guys have star power. Okay. So I had my business for 15 years. I was a solopreneur for many of those, like over half of them intentionally, because I didn't want to grow. I was a mom first. I had 5 kids and then life happened. And so I got divorced and then we grew the studio. So those are for those of you that don't know my story. So that's how that happened. And now I have a team of eight teachers and admin and everything. And you know, they do. I feel like my interview process is pretty good. I have a good gut and training the tasks and training them like what I expect in the studio. But to get them excited about the mission, the vision, and where we're going, that one's I struggle with, and I want them to be excited about it. But I mean, they work 2, 3, 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
So what did that person say, or what were you able to connect the dots for her better than that business owner?
Yeah. Well, part of that is it's that what you talked about is not uncommon, because when I'm speaking to a group of 30 or 300, I'll ask this question and no one ever raised their hand and said, "Oh, I started a business because my passion was really about training people." And so no, never.
Mm-mm.
Typically, you're passionate about the thing, the product or the service that you have, like you with your dance studio. And then you need the staff in order to help grow and scale.
Mhm.
So the things that, so my skills lie in that partnering with people who teach the tasks and then I teach the skills. So um teaching the people, like, first of all, I start with it's a mindset shift and really telling them how important that they are, and bringing in a bunch of the things that I do from teaching to make it more interactive, so it really hits home with
Mhm.
quizzes, with games, with all sorts of things, so they understand their impact. That's step one.
Mhm.
They Staff have to understand that they're important. It doesn't matter if they feel like this is my dream job or this is a temporary thing I'm making money for college. It doesn't matter, because the impact that they have on the financial success of the business is the same. So first step is helping them understand that.
Mhm.
Um, and then I you have kids, and so
Mhm.
maybe this analogy will help people who have children. So when you tell your children um, one thing, you're trying to get them to drink more water, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Like, you need to drink more water so you're not cramping. You need to drink more water so you're not cramping, blah, blah, blah. And you say it again and again and again. And then their aunt comes and says the same thing. And it's
Mhm.
like an epiphany that happened. They're like, oh, I should drink more water.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
It's you as an owner say the same thing, or maybe saying the same thing, but having someone else come in or having a book read, it it just hits it from a different direction. It lends a different set of credibility so that staff really help to understand it. It's not just like, oh, my mom says drink more water, or oh, my boss says I'm important. Well, they just, don't want me to quit.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah. So
So
they need it. They need that constant reinforcement.
mhm. So what can so thankfully I have I feel like I have a great team, and hopefully you all do. Like with small business owners, we have to be pretty like you
Yeah.
can't just, oh great, warm body, let's have you at the front of the house or whatever.
Yeah.
Like no, we're pretty particular. But what can we do to support, retain, or motivate these high performing people?
Oh, I love that question. First of all, it's more than a pizza party once a month, right? It's showing them appreciation and feeding into them. Now, that can look like if we come into a smorgasbord, you have a buffet table, you can choose tons of different ways to help them feed into helping them understand that and retain it. Like a couple of examples, you could do a staff book read about hospitality or customer service. Right? I have a training. You could take that and take your staff through that. Another way is you can, during a staff meeting, you might highlight the things that you want to reinforce. So if someone was particularly great at solving a customer's challenge, you use that and edify the person during that staff meeting, and then you're showing by example, like this is how we fixed your f ups, your mess ups,
Mm-hmm.
like this is how we fix mistakes and not only meet our customers expectations but exceed them. So those are a few examples of what people can do. It's just kind of low hanging fruit. A book read is great, and then sharing those wins is also great. Those are easy to start with.
Okay, you say that's easy. I would think that would
Oh,
be
sorry.
hard. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So to get my staff to read a book together, I think that would be hard. Because
Okay.
I don't know if I would, like doing a part-time job, my staff is part-time. So I don't know if I would at a part-time job want to read a book, although I have heard of other studio owners doing that, but I think they do it more with their leadership team. And that's where yes, we have a leadership team, but are they full-time or are they still part-time? And so how do you get people on board with something like that?
With something like that. Well, what I did when I had the hotel is the first I read a lot, and the
Hmm.
book that we started with was Hug Your Customers by Jack Mitchell. And it was fantastic. I ended up buying a whole bunch of books on Amazon, and then I asked my staff because I thought I don't know how fast people read, how slow
Right.
they read, if they're readers, right? If they feel like they want to get paid. So I just asked them during a meeting. I said, "Look, would you like to get paid for reading this? I've come up with an idea. It should take about X amount of time, and then I can pay you for it." And to my great surprise, they said, "No, we should read this. It will help us in our other business, in our other life," which it will. It'll help them with skills no matter what they're doing. And so that's how I kind of posed it. Um, if people are not a well, and so then let me back up. What happened was I thought, okay, we need to chunk it out so that we can talk about chapters whatever, 1 through 5 or whatnot the first time, and then make it easy. And the next time we'll talk about chapters 5 or 6 through 10 during our next staff meeting, because we ended up having them monthly after I was growing my business and I realized we needed to have monthly trainings. Um, and to my surprise and delight, it was so much fun because the first staff meeting we had, they blew it out of the water. They're like, I couldn't stop reading. And they just were full of ideas, and it was a lot of fun. So if a book isn't the thing, it could be listening to a podcast about customer experience. It could be, I have a product called Creating a Culture Deck, which is weekly drip irrigation. So they're discussion cards with quotes or stats that make it easy for leaders to drip irrigate their people so that their people are learning about their impact and influence and how important they are. So hopefully, how's that? Does that
Yeah. So
answer
you
your question?
so you mentioned like a monthly training. So do you advise, like, do you help me understand that? Like, is that within like the meeting of everything else, or like, reason I ask is because of, again, selfishly, it's
Yeah,
part-time
yeah.
people. So getting them to commit to that staff meeting. Yes. Yes, we can do that. And then is it the first 10 minutes, we're just going to do a little training on this or talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it doesn't have to be the full Monty, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're jumping into a big training. It's just take the next step, take the next little step, in incorporating something. So if I'm trying to learn dance, I'm not going to
No.
be on
Yeah.
stage, tomorrow. So I've got to first learn my posture. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing this because I'm not a dancer, but I would like to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just taking little bites and then giving yourself grace that it doesn't have to look or be perfect. It's just where we are intentional, like you teach being intentional with SEO and blogging every single month. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's a practice and a habit that you incorporated, not
Mm-hmm.
immediately, but you
Mm-hmm.
incorporated it with little
Mm-hmm.
steps.
Mm-hmm.
It's just taking that blueprint and focusing on customer service experiences. And that's it. Just a little tiny bite at first and then
Mm-hmm.
incorporating more and more as that little muscle gets bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to take note. Service is selfless. It's challenging and it's selfless because it's all about the other person. And it's making the customer, the guest, the member feel valued. And
Mm-hmm.
that is making people feel valued is a very specific, easily taught skill. That's three things. I'll just, do you want me to jump into it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I teach this in the Power of People Academy. This is like there's introduction, and then it's module 1 is first impressions.
Yes.
It's three things. I call it the trifecta. It's eye contact, smile, and a greeting.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're doing workshops, it's pretty fun to take people. They think, oh yeah, that's easy. I do that all the time. Why do I need to smile? Now I'm not saying you're a woman, you need to smile more. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are a front-facing customer service person and your goal is to make customers feel valued 100%, yes, you need to smile at them. And there's a fun Facebook group called So I Asked Them to Smile, where you can see the difference between a non-smile and a smile. And if you're a parent or a kid that's gotten the look from your parent, you know the impact of a look without a smile. So those three things, and you can do that on the phone. It's making someone feel welcome. And those things are extremely important. Eye contact, smile, and greeting. Sounds simple. In reality, to execute, it's very challenging because oftentimes people are focused on their task, or they're in something, or they don't want to be interrupted. And it takes an intentionality and practice. And I actually made myself practice this at the beginning of our marriage because I would be home before Jeff. And it wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
Like, damn it, he's here. Or dang it, sorry. I just want to finish this up before I, greet him. But if my goal was to make him feel welcomed, or if you're having a party, right? If my goal is to make guests feel welcomed, I need to look at them. I don't need to keep cutting the charcuterie board. I need to smile at them so I don't look pissed, not ticked off. And I need to greet them. So, yeah, those are three things. Yeah.
And if you know their name, say their name.
Oh, yes. That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one. People love to hear their name,
Yeah.
or even a compliment. Like, I love it's a podcast, but you got a sweet Pink Floyd shirt on, which I love today.
Yeah.
And there's a way to compliment people that's not creepy. Like when we had the hotel, I wouldn't say to a man, oh, that shirt looks good on you. I would say, that's a good looking shirt. And it's very different. I'd say, that's a good looking shirt. And then I would follow it up with something like, I wish my husband would wear, bringing in I'm not flirting. I'm actually giving you a compliment. Or a woman like, oh, those are great earrings. People love to have, people notice little things. And it makes those connections more meaningful. I'll even do it to get better service when I go places. Compliment the person who's serving me on something. Makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
I know these little tricks, and it's so true, and it's simple, but it's not. Like you kind of, I find myself having to practice it sometimes because sometimes you just want to be off, like you said, like, oh, sugar, I don't want my kids home yet. I want to finish this and da-da-da, but yeah. Okay. So you touched on that. Thank you so much. And then the last thing I want to talk about is you talk about languages. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Languages of appreciation. Yes, that's a fun workshop. That's a very fun one. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, because just like I assume, but tell me more about it. I assume where this is going.
Yeah, and I'll use since I'm imagining you're thinking about your own business, which is
Mm-hmm,
great.
mm-hmm,
So each person has a different way that they feel appreciated. So as we're
mm-hmm,
trying to make customers feel appreciated, the foundation is supporting our staff because they're the people who do it.
mm-hmm,
So I've worked with, there's a workshop I did. So this is an example. So it was a smaller staff. It was an executive director of a chamber. And she and I are opposite the table. And then her staff, I think there were four of them, or two on one side of the table, two on the other side of the table. And I knew from having talked to this director that she was very excited. Her staff is amazing, and she's very excited to give them this award and give them a bunch of kudos in their annual membership dinner, which was hugely. It was big event. And so we walked through this worksheet, and I asked, for them to share. And I remember specifically this young man said, "Oh, yeah, I'll share." He said, "I love words of affirmation. I love it when people give me kudos for what I've done." And I looked up and glanced at the executive director, and I saw her posture change. Like she kind of got taller, you could see she was like, "Oh gosh, I'm so excited because I'm going to nail this tomorrow." And he immediately followed it up with, "But I really like it done in private. I don't like it public." And that was her exact reaction. She's like this look of, "Oh, Christ." Yeah. He had
Oh,
no
that's so funny. Mhm.
Yeah, he had no idea about the thing. So she quickly pivoted, but
Yeah.
languages of appreciation is so tendencies like, and you might think of love languages. There's
Mm-hmm.
the books, the five love
Mm-hmm.
languages. There's also the languages of appreciation in the workplace. That book, and then Work Happy by Joe Geisler. That's where I conglomerated the two to create this workshop. But it's finding out what floats their boat,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
Because we need to check their boxes if we want our staff to stay engaged, feel appreciated and motivated and be productive. Is it written notes? Is it gifts? And it changes over time and it's different. So we need to ask again. I have it as part of the onboarding process for people that I work with. I give them a little sheet, like if they want an easy, like cheat sheet, like here's some questions you can ask, and then revisit it again because it does change.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the way
Yeah.
that we feel appreciated, like for example, I love words of affirmation, especially when they're publicly given to someone else about me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that really floats my boat. Um, is it and I also like gifts, but I don't like any gift, right? Because I'm not a big plastic user. So if someone sends me a bunch of chocolate and plastic, I'm like, oh, thanks. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
gracious.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically dialing down and the things that I really like to receive, we tend to want to default to give that and show our appreciation to people in the same way. And
Mm-hmm.
we may be really missing the mark, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if someone's not really motivated by cash bonuses, like why would I waste the $300 cash bonus when I could get them a $50 gift certificate or, tickets to this whatever, a show for $50 and they're going to be over the moon about it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just for me, that's such a good reminder just to check in as I like just renew contracts and talk with staff. And because you're right, it does kind of change based on season of life, where they're at and everything. But I am constantly surprised by who's not motivated by money. I'm like,
Me
what?
too. Oh my gosh, me too. I
Yeah.
was so shocked when I had my team, when we had the hotel, how impactful a stinking handwritten note was to them. I mean, brought
Mm-hmm.
some of them to tears. And I thought, wow, that doesn't do it for me. But okay, if it's you,
Yeah.
that I will make it I will
Yeah.
make
Be
an
intentional.
yeah.
Intentional. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, and it's kind of I don't know. We remain curious and ask. It's always kind of fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think that base of curiosity is important, whether we are
Yes.
talking with our staff or modeling that with our staff, because then they model it with the customers, right? Like,
Mm.
oh, where did you get that necklace? Or,
Yes.
how's your kid doing or your dog doing or whatever. it creates connection. It just creates
Yes.
connection. And that's powerful. That's
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So much goodness there that we could go off on rabbit trails with the connection and um, even with students, like I have students like littles and like training in my staff. I'm like, compliment what you want, acknowledge what you want. Don't acknowledge the bad behavior, acknowledge the good behavior. And then you'll see it ripple through the room like right
Yes.
away.
Yes. That is so true. I did that with middle school as well. Middle school is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
reinforcing, yeah, that is an important, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's an important trait of a leader is to be able to recognize what someone's individual talents and gifts are and then calling them out
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing what behaviors you want and calling them out. So
Mm-hmm.
when you were talking about, oh gosh, it feels like a heavy lift to incorporate this into a staff meeting, just maybe a little muscle is calling out like this was great how you interacted with this child, or this
Mm-hmm.
was great, I heard from this customer, look at this Google review that we
Mm-hmm.
got naming you specifically, what did you do to get that?
Mm-hmm.
Those are just examples that raise gently and consistently raise awareness, and they change behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So good. All right. So let's get into your business. So what do you talk about what you do for people, how they can work with you, and wrap this up here so we
Sure,
can
sure.
tie
So
this bow.
yep, tie this bow. I'm not a great bow tire, but I do appreciate a good bow. And I know people who could do it, so that's the important thing.
Yes.
So I speak. I love speaking about the power and impact that people have, about curating your customer journey. That's a very fun one.
Mhm.
So that's one of the ways that people can work with me. And another way I can do one-on-one individual coaching or strategy sessions to help curate the customer journey or work on staffing support. And then some really easy, like do-it-yourselfer stuff. There's the creating a culture deck, which I have that's over a year's content that's curated because I saw a need for this. I had a need for it when I ran a hotel and had my own business. And I see a need for it with the people that I work with.
Mhm.
You're busy. And so this
Mhm.
is an easy tool you can bring out into your weekly meetings,
Mhm.
whether it's virtual or in person. And my favorite comment was when a team leader, an owner of a business said, Samantha, we start our Friday morning meetings every week with this. And what's
Mhm.
weird is that before we start talking about this week's card, they're talking about last week's card. And I was like one of those blow up balloon things you see outside the cars that like literally in my mind, that's what I was like, do you realize how exciting this is? Your
Yeah.
staff is now drip irrigation. They're thinking about your business when
Mhm.
they're not
Mhm.
there. And then the other tool that's more of an in-depth is called the Power of People Academy, and that's the hospitality boot camp. 6 weeks where I teach your staff via video all of those things, like from how important they are to how to make a good first impression, sales versus service so they can upsell, they understand their value,
Mm.
Pareto principle, which is that 80-20 rule, why that's important. And then the final module is congratulations, you screwed up. How to fix the mistakes when they happen in order to change the narrative and exceed expectations. So there's 3 steps that I teach there
Mm.
in that video. And so it's designed, or that module, and that course is designed for leaders to take with their staff the first time because it teaches the information. Each module has a takeaway worksheet or something like that so that they can apply what they're learning to their own experience to the business.
Mhm.
Okay, to up level those skills. So go through it the first time, and then after that, use it as onboarding for new people. One of the When I had the hotel, in the various stages of learning what to do and not to do with
Mhm.
hiring and moving from desperate to hire to desirable, um, there was a 3-hour course. It's not available anymore, but it was at the time, and it was about hospitality. It was super cheesy and hilarious, and so I made it as a requirement, like you have to get your Q care training. This is the 3 free hour course that you need to do, and your food handlers and your service license. And so what I found was that that course gave my staff common language, and
Mm.
solidified our core mission and values. And so that's what the Power of People Academy does for business owners, as long as their priorities, their people. So yeah, those are the different ways. Hopefully that wraps
Oh,
it up.
yes. Yeah.
I don't know how messy of a bow that was, but
No, it's all good. Okay. So, and tell people where to find that.
sure. Is my website's the best way, kaizen.zone. So www.kaizen.zone, ZONE.
All right.
No
And of course,
.com. We went different.
you
Dot.
did. You did. All right. And we'll put that on the show notes, of course. Everything will be linked up. And this is very just intriguing because we all know the importance of relationships, of creating business and growing business and up leveling your business. But that relationship with your staff to the client, that's game changing. And
Yeah.
I just a side note, I do remember one of my team members, we have 6-week sessions, and that's lovely for families because it gives them that flexibility. But back in the day, we didn't have an auto enroll, so they could drop out. And that one teacher, she lost like over half a class, and she was intuitive. She's like, do I need to be concerned? Like, is there something that I need to be doing better? And I just appreciated her question and being insightful and aware that, like, she knew her value in the studio. And if she lost students, and she didn't lose the students, is because they were younger, and we gave them that option to withdraw every 6 weeks or renew, whatever I'm trying to say. But I just love that. And that star power of our team. We need our team to
Yeah.
be shining examples and growing our
I
business.
love that you recognized that in her and then encouraged her. So, because you're right. I mean, that story tells me a lot, that you're really insightful as a leader and that you want to support your staff, because that, even just leaning into her question and helping support her to figure it out, and that is hugely important. And you're right, she's a very valuable, very
She
valuable
was.
asset. When someone thinks about that and is taking responsibility and ownership, and then when we can come and support them as leaders to say, okay, well, what can we do, and give them the grace to mess up, because we all do. Yeah, that's how we get better and grow. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. I love this. Thank you so much, Samantha. This was lovely. I appreciate you taking the time to share with us on the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. Go visit her website, and I'm excited. If you enjoyed and got value out of this podcast, please take a screenshot of it and tag both of us on social, and we will shout you out as well.
That would
All
be
right,
great.
everybody. Yeah, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you here same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye-bye.